Just a quick overview of the healthcare sector for 2021. Just a couple of themes that we think look interesting moving forward. We've spoken about this before, but the theme of hospital without walls. So that's providing services remotely, either in short stay situations or monitoring patients from home or day hospitals is a real theme that we see going forward. ResMed's best placed in that area. The other thing that we really like the look of is this enterprise imaging concept, and that's moving images across either hospital departments or hospital networks. And we've got formal coverage across 3 stocks in that space, Medicus, Max 7 and IME. They all look very interesting and winning contracts, and it looks like all of those share prices are heading higher. Just before Christmas, there was a comment that Derek made in relation to the strong Australian dollar, potentially causing some headwinds for some of the international names, so we're just monitoring that closely. The other thing that we've picked up is medicinal cannabis. The rescheduling of some of the cannabis products is making it more acceptable to mainstream medicine. A couple of companies that we're really focused in are those that are looking to do clinical trials and really validate the claims that they have. So in that category, we've got MedLab and Zalira. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics is a big theme. Volpara sits nicely in that space, and the recent listing of Control Bionics is also very well suited in that space. The final dot point I've got on that page is more of a focus on international stocks. The 4 that I've listed there, Johnson & Johnson, Novartis, Pfizer and Roche, we'll be talking more about them. They're the largest holdings across our network in the international healthcare space. The other one I put there is the ETF called Drug. Following Tom Sartor's comments yesterday about a number of the ETFs, and particularly looking for those that are hedged, this particular ETF, Drug, tracks 60 of the global healthcare names, excluding Australia. So it's very well placed if you believe that the Australian dollar is moving higher. So have a look at that ETF, Drug. The next chart here simply just notes that the healthcare index has modestly outperformed the ASX over the last 12 months. During the March pullback, healthcare didn't fall as much, but certainly didn't enjoy the recovery that some of the other sectors have had over the last 12 months. So it's finished slightly ahead of the ASX 200, but certainly over the last 6 months or so, it's been quite a consistent performer without too many major movements up. Interestingly, I had a look at our coverage list, and about 30% of our stocks have actually run through our price targets. So just 3 I want to call out. The top 3 are Medicus, has had a very strong share price rise. So again, that's in that enterprise imaging space. They continue to win contracts in the US. They're targeted mainly at the tier 1 teaching hospitals and university hospitals over there. They've had a lot of success in that space, and their product offering is seen as the gold standard in that enterprise imaging space. So that share price is basically run through our price target. It looks expensive on near-term fundamentals, but it's a story that we're looking to buy on any pullback. Similarly with Nanosonics, I went against my gut feel and I pulled it back to a hold in November. That share price has gone from $7 and crashed through $8 yesterday. We're still waiting for the next product launch. Very strong company going forward. We don't have any real clarity on when that new product launch will come through, but clearly the market's anticipating that it will be shortly. Essentially, once that product is launched, it will enable strong profit growth over the next 5+ years. So I made a bit of an error pulling that back to a hold, but certainly very comfortable with maintaining any positions in Nanosonics, and we'll certainly look for weakness to try and re-enter that name. The other one that had a very strong rally over the last week or so has been Ebos. There's been a number of brokers come out and initiate coverage of that name. I think it's possibly ahead of the Chemist Warehouse float later this year. Ebos, for those that aren't familiar, primarily trades on the New Zealand Stock Exchange. It's quite a liquid over here, but it is Chemist Warehouse major distributor. So it does all the distribution for Chemist Warehouse. Very strong company, very well managed. We do have an ad on it, but as I said, it's just sort of run through our price target at the moment. I've listed out a couple of names there just for you to have a look at, but again, just looking for some weakness. Hopefully we might get it in the next couple of days with some of these quality names. And then just finally, always looking for catalysts in the sector, particularly at the lower end of the market or the more speculative end. One name I do want to draw to everyone's attention is MicroX. Really interesting story. They've won a number of contracts recently, particularly with the Transport Surveillance Authority in the US to develop a pilot trial for a self-checking system through airports. They're also have a grant application in with the Australian Stroke Alliance for the early detection of strokes. This is all for their miniature or their portable X-ray machines. Really good story that sort of reached a pivot point, growing sales, and really like the look of that name. We've spoken about Volpara a lot. What I just point out is that we're coming into a seasonally strong quarter, so their quarterly report will come out at the end of January. We're expecting a very solid number there. Similarly with Impedimed, they're turning around. They're expecting a solid quarter for them. And a couple of other names there. Max 7, again in that enterprise imaging space, we're expecting contract wins to come out over the next couple of months with them. I might leave it there and just remind everyone that the healthcare team did do a podcast just before Christmas, just highlighting a number of these names. So if you want a review of any of that, just go back to that podcast.